Good morning, my friends, and thank you for joining. One of the most important life skills is learning to celebrate imperfection. What is interesting in the reading of the Torah is that this week we're going to be reading basically a repeat, almost word for word, of what we read about 2 weeks ago and 3 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago and 3 weeks ago, it speaks about God commanding Moses to build a tabernacle with all the details, every specific detail, the measurements and the dimensions of every part of the tabernacle. And this week we read that Moses built the tabernacle. But instead of just saying Moses built it to spec, or Moses built it as God commanded us, it actually repeats detail for detail, Moses building it with all the specs and all the dimensions that we read about 2 weeks ago and 3 weeks ago. And the question is, why do we need this repetition? And one of the great insights is that ultimately God is telling us that there are two tabernacles. There are two lives. There's the one we envision, the one that we speak about, the one that we plan, which is pristine, which is utopian in nature, and then there's real life when we implement it. Everything in real life, when you implement it, is not going to be as perfect and it's not going to be as wonderful as the vision, as the plan. Life and the reality of life has its ups and downs, has its rough edges, has its imperfections. And what we need to understand is that God is telling Moses, the tabernacle that I want, the tabernacle that I dwell in, is the tabernacle that you actually build in the world. And that's a tabernacle that is imperfect. It is a tabernacle that has its ups and downs, has its rough edges, has its bad days, has its down moments. But God says, that is where I dwell. And knowing and understanding that God celebrates our lives and the imperfection of our lives will help us learn also to celebrate life with all of its imperfections. Thank you for joining, and Shabbat Shalom.